Hi guys, in this video we are going to take a look at how to take a vector and make it a unit vector, which means that the new vector will have the same direction as the original one, but the length of it is going to be 1, the length of the magnitude. So let's say imagine that you start with the vector. So let's just start with the vector v, and let's say it has components a and b. What we have to do is first find its magnitude. And that's, if you remember, is the square root of the first component squared plus the second component squared. And then what you do is you divide the vector by the magnitude. And the new vector, which we'll call v with a hat on top, so I call it put a hat on the vector, is going to have a length of 1. So here I have a divided by square root of a squared plus b squared divided, and then b divided by the same square root. So why is this vector length 1? Well, remember that the magnitude or length is found by squaring each component. So we've got a squared, right? And then the bottom squared, that's just going to drop the square root. And then plus b squared divided again by square root squared, which is just going to disappear, right? The square root is going to disappear when you square it. And now you can see that the two fractions have the same bottoms. So we're just going to add the tops. And notice how now the bottom and the top is the same. So the answer is just going to be 1. So this new vector has length of 1. All right, so let's just practice that. So just imagine that you have a vector with the components 1 and 2, and I want to put a hat on it. So the first step is putting a hat on it, in other words, making it a unit length or length of 1, is to find the magnitude of it. Okay, so the magnitude is going to be square root of the first component squared plus the second. So that's going to give me square root of 5. And then what do I do with that is the new vector, v with the hat. You just take each component and divide by the magnitude. So you get 1 over square root of 5. And this is actually 2 over square root of 5. All right, so that's the hat. Now, in this question, this is a different question, is because they're not just saying that this vector is going to be unit length, but now this new vector has to have a specified length. So let's just say length of 7. So how do I do that? Well, the first thing you do is you do what we just did. So you put a hat on the vector, the original one, and that's, as I just showed you, is 1 over square root of 5, 2 over square root of 5. Now, the length of this vector is 1. So how do I make it a new length of 7? Well, maybe you can guess that all you have to do is just multiply it by 7. Because the new vector 7v, if you take the magnitude, there is a rule that says that you can just take out the 7. It's a constant, and that's just going to be magnitude of v with the hat, which is 1. So the new vector will have a length of 7. So all I have to do is just multiply each component by 7. Now, sometimes what they would do is also ask you to find the vector opposite direction with a given length. So if it's the opposite direction, then you're just going to take a negative. So if it says something like find the vector in the same direction as this one, then you just multiply it by 7. But if they say find the opposite direction, then you're just going to multiply it by negative 7. So this new vector, negative 7v, is going to have, well, this has to have a hat on it, is going to have the same components, right, but just opposite signs. So that would be this one. Okay, so that would be opposite direction.